This broadcast, telecast, podcast, and whatever the hell else it is copyrighted by the Rad Network and the Rob and Steve Sports Show, all found at network.com, and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of this madness without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited. So just don't do it. It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, a show all about the thrill of Rob's victories.
Young almost falls down, throws to the end zone. Owens! 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 Caught it! He caught it! Touchdown pass! Terrell Owens!
And sometimes even the thrill of Steve's victories.
This would be the 5th pennant for the Red Sox since that 1918 season. Here it is. Ground ball to second. Race. The Boston Red Sox have won the pennant. The Boston Red Sox earned this celebration here at Yankee Stadium with the biggest comeback in postseason baseball history.
And sometimes even the agony of Rob's defeats.
Good afternoon. We are here to introduce the new head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Jim Tomsula.
Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com. And now, the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Yay! Yay! It's schedule day! I actually just heard somebody. I don't know what was on. Well, it wasn't ESPN because golf is on ESPN, so it must have been Fox Sports television. I just heard somebody say today is their favorite day of the year. Shut up. Hey, my God, you learn dates.
How can that even be ahead of the NFL draft? I mean, if you're so into the NFL that it's the number one thing, you would think that, you know, if your team sucks, that it's not the Super Bowl. It is draft day, because I've lived that many, many years in my life.
As a Lions fan, that's got to be true. So, look, the schedule comes out today, 5 o'clock Pacific time. As we predicted, every leak in the book. I mean, if this was a boat, we'd be at the bottom of the ocean. So we'll go through those. We do have playoff basketball and hockey, and baseball. A couple of pitchers in the news. We also have, as I just alluded to, as we speak, the second major of the golf season, the PGA Championship, is underway. The first 10 people on the leaderboard currently, I swear, most of you have never heard of. I haven't heard of like 6 of them. This is the PGA. It's like the British Open. The first couple days, for whatever reason, these no-names soar up the leaderboard, and then most of the time they disappear entirely throughout the weekend. When I turned on the PGA Championship an hour ago, Jordan Spieth was in the lead, 3 under. I'm like, oh, look at Jordan Spieth. He's not even that. What is he down to? He's down to 1 under. He's down to he's tied for 11th, but there's like 20 people ahead of him because there's so many ties. Household name Aldrich Geist, Goder, whatever. He's from Britain. He's one of many people at 3 under that you have not heard of. You may have heard of Thagala. He's tied at 2 under. You know, keep going. So there's Schauffele, Xander Schauffele. He's at 2 under, and it goes. We'll keep an eye on it. It's day 1, PGA Championship. Speaking of, one quick fun story. Because I have a question about this. South Africa's Garrick Hago, another household name. He'll probably be at the top of the leaderboard when we're done. Was late this morning to his tee time at the 108th PGA Championship. He's ranked 85th in the world. He was scheduled to tee off at 7:18 local time. He was 1 minute late because he was practicing on the putting green, not the area defined as the starting point. Yes, of course, the PGA has a very specific rule. It's by the rope and the gallery stakes and the green bike and the fencing and the blue stakes and the blue dots. That's where you're supposed to be. It's ridiculous, but it's a rule. He was allowed to remain in the tournament because of an exception that allows him to arrive at the starting point ready to play no more than 5 minutes late. Otherwise, he would have been DQ'd. Made a par on the first hole, par 4, but he had to car to 6. My question, Steve, is, especially if your name is Garrick Hago, how are you late to your tee time of the major? There's 4 majors a year. No one has ever heard of you. You're 85th in the world, and you're late by. Where's his caddy, his manager, his agent, anyone?
Very good question. If that was you or I'd have been there the night before. I'd have slept in the tee box to make sure that I didn't miss it. Just the fact that I was playing in the tournament, it was good enough for me.
That's just one I always look at. And I go, how does that happen? It probably won't be a story by this afternoon, but still. Okay, news from the NBA. Golden State Warriors. Obviously, they've signed Steve Kerr. A couple more years. They're looking for a way to build a contending team around its aging duo of Steph and Draymond. We've been wondering, is this where LeBron lands? Because that's the really big story about the NBA right now. Which, by the way, it seems to be on hold today. Yesterday, LeBron needs time, doesn't know what's going to happen. And then Pelinka, the GM, comes out, whatever LeBron wants. He's the greatest thing ever. No one has ever graced LA better than LeBron James. Like, we might as well make him God of Los Angeles. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm close. No more on that. However, we're wondering, does he wind up in Golden State? Well, Golden State is wondering something else. According to Brett Siegel of Clutch Points, who follows the Warriors religiously, Golden State is pursuing a trade. Like, they are thinking of and pursuing a trade for Giannis of the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee's staring at a full-scale rebuild, making an additional pick in what is a loaded draft class, very appealing. And that's the thing. The Warriors have the 11th pick in the upcoming draft to work with. Can they use that? Because a big name star remains extremely relevant for owner Joe LeCobb and the Warriors. And there have been no shortage of talks regarding Giannis and the Warriors, according to Siegel, who wrote, quote, many fully expect LeCobb and his front office to package the number 11 pick with other future assets to convince the Bucks to trade them Giannis. So, you like that move, Steve? In and of itself, is that good for one team, both teams, either team, neither team, Giannis, etc.? That's the big NBA rumor today while we're still doing the playoffs.
I just have a hard time believing, because NBA teams can trade up to 5 years of their picks in advance. And if the Warriors have all of them, would you really trade Giannis for 5 number 1 picks? I don't think that's going to be the best offer they get. You're going to have to throw in at least one real quality player, which I can't see them doing that, or having the ability to include that and still try to contend. Set your sights on Giannis. Maybe, you can land him, which would be wonderful. I don't see him going to Golden State.
So if they can pull it off, this is that old Miami Heat big three thinking from 20 years ago. If you got the big three, you're set. Now, we've seen that doesn't always work, but that's the thinking. That's still a little prevalent. It seems to be fading. It's still a little prevalent in the NBA. If you got Giannis and an aging Steph and Draymond, you like this? Like, just, it doesn't matter how they get there. They got those three. I don't know who else they have to give up off their bench or whatever.
Well, Jimmy Butler's sitting there. I mean, right. I got to throw Jimmy Butler into that as well.
Into the Warriors. He's still with the Warriors.
Still with the Warriors. I don't see it. And from what I'm understanding,
you don't see it working if it happens. If the trade happens,
no. If the trade happens, I can see it working. I don't think the trade's going to happen. My understanding on this draft is it is really loaded, but the more I talk to those in the know, there's 4 players. So you really need to be in the top 4, and those 4 are interchangeable, and we'll see where it goes from there. Then it's a step back. Then that 5 through 12 is really good. I just, if I'm Milwaukee, I want way more than this for it.
The reason I was breaking it up was the first step is if it happened, you think the Warriors, if it happened, however it does, you think that team, they're real contenders now. They're certainly out of the playoff spot. You like that form of the Warriors.
What are we up to? Like 3rd or 4th in the West?
Okay. That's what I was thinking. Thinking. Now, you bring up because I did ask the whole big question, who's it good for, who's it bad for, etc. The Bucks are going to need a lot more than what's being floated. If they can pull it off becomes a big question. I wonder if the Warriors have to bring in a 3rd team to figure out a 3-way trade. Because, I mean, if this reporting is right, they are nuts over this idea in Golden State. Could be nothing. Could be a crappy report. But that's what today the big scuttlebutt is. No word from anybody in Milwaukee reporting that I've seen under the radar. But it's out there. So it should be a fun month at least.
Yes, and I'm really interested to see what happens. I mean, do the Houston Rockets move Şengün And,
Mhm.
a top pick there and someone else, which would be a lot of fun seeing him in Houston. And then they're getting a player who steps in and can pretty much young, really good player who can make an impact. I just can't see any GM moving Giannis and not getting back, that quality player back. Shengun's been mentioned out there. Jalen Brown's been mentioned out there. I mean, just 4 or 5 picks. I can't see happening, and I keep throwing OKC, which just has an abundance of talent all the way through there along with their draft picks. If I heard he was going to the Warriors and they were getting him for like a few draft picks, man, I'm stepping up saying, look, we'll beat that offer in a heartbeat and he can come play for us.
So we've got the Giannis story, we've got the LeBron story, the Lakers story. These are all part of what's going to be coming as the NBA does finally wrap down. And every time a team loses and they're out, this is what we do. We start looking ahead and we start wondering what they're going to do. And we have more NBA news later. But somehow Steve's made it 11 minutes without losing his mind, which is great. We always do a little sound check before the show. Usually about an hour before the show. We don't talk much because it's really just check 1 2, check 1 2. Okay, everything's good technically. We got to go get ready for the show. Every now and then, there's an option or there's an opportunity, and Steve did. He started in on his rant about last night, and I knew he would. I did tell him. I said it's rehearsal. Just in other words, we don't rehearse. Just save it for the show. But I swear again, another late night thanks to both basketball and hockey. Late, relatively speaking, for me. And I didn't text you, Steve. When I first clicked over to the Pistons game, because there's so much going on. The A's were on, hockey. Damn it, with hockey, that game should have been over, and it wasn't. And I'm bouncing around. So when I first switched over to the Pistons game, was early, and the Pistons were up. And I don't remember. It's early, first half, but they were up, and they look good. I watched for a few minutes. I'm like, okay, it's way too early to text Steve. It's game 5. It's a big one, but we got to see what happens. I tune in later, and they're up by 9. And it's the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh, cool. And I don't remember where I went. Probably hockey. And then a commercial hits, and I go back to basketball. Like, what? Huh? How did this happen? That's when I almost texted you, what the hell is Detroit doing? I said, just let it play out, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. So, Cavaliers rallied from a 9-point deficit, less than 3 minutes remaining, and ultimately defeated the Pistons 117-113 in overtime. The Cavs take the 3-2 series lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Now, in a best-of-7 series across all sports, depending on the sport, the percentage changes, but the winner of Game 5, historically overwhelmingly, wins the series. And that's what the Cavs just did. Game 5 is widely considered the most pivotal because, obviously, you're down to 3 more. You're down to 2 more games, and one team just has to win 1, which is the Cavs now. The winner, he's got 2 chances to win once. Baseball is the lowest percentage since 1985. The winner of Game 5 has gone on to win the series 67% of the time. Hockey is second. The Game 5 winner has gone on to win the series 78% of the time. Basketball, teams that win Game 5 to take a 3-2 lead win the series 82% of the time. That's in everything except the finals. In the finals, it's 72%, but this is in the finals. The Cavs now statistically have an 85% chance, or 82% chance rather, to go on and win the series, which is ironic because the Pistons had a 97% chance to win last night when they were up by 9 late in regulation. So these numbers don't always mean anything since Cleveland wound up winning. James Harden, who we were clowning, 30.6 assists, best playoff scoring performance with the Cavaliers, who can finish it off at home and go to play the Knicks. Yay, Knicks Cavaliers. The Pistons, they were facing elimination over Orlando, and they came back. So okay, it's every stat. There's another stat, and because it's the NBA playoffs, we have to have an officiating controversy. Cavaliers roared back, 9-0 run in the final 3 minutes. They had the ball. I have watched this replay I don't know how many times just last night. 22 seconds left. Donovan Mitchell was the pick for the would-be game winner. He got smothered by Pistons defensive ace Oscar Thompson from the moment he touched the ball. Thompson got the block in the paint. He beat out Jared Allen for possession of the ball, and then he immediately lost the ball after he tripped over Allen's foot. Time expired. The ball bounced out of bounds, sending the game to overtime. The Pistons were screaming bloody murder. There's a foul on Allen. It's called tripping. Rob just read it. He said he tripped over Allen's foot, which would have given Thompson free throws because they were in the bonus. Head coach J.B. Bickerstaff after the game was very upset. He said Allen fouled. It's clear. He trips him when he's going for a loose ball. End of game situation. It's tough. The officials after the game, hesitant to decide the game with their whistles, disagreed at the time. They're like, wait a minute. We're basically going to hand the Pistons the win here, is the thinking. This is all speculation. But then we actually got a word from crew chief Tony Brothers. In the post-game pool report, he said the collision was incidental. It didn't warrant a whistle. He stood by it. So, there you go, Steve. Detroit's your account. Yet another team saying the officiating sucks. Bickerstaff didn't go as far as to say it counted in the game, but every game there's that. Cade Cunningham was let down. He had a great game. How you feeling, Pistons fan?
Not good. And you hit on the fouls, 38 free throws to 20 free throws. They got pretty much 2-1. Incidental contact, but watching that game, there may have been some incidental contacts that sure got called fouls against the Pistons. Truth be told, I had the exact same feeling in this game as I did with the Lions against the 49ers. Up 14, went for the fourth down instead of kicking the field goal. And I watched the whole wheels fall off in that game. I saw this as well. The Pistons played outstanding the first half. They're up by 8. They should have been up by like 15-20. They dominated that first half. The Cavs couldn't do anything. They hung in there. And then comes the third quarter, which was like the Lions stopped on fourth down, touchdown, fumble, touchdown, we're tied. And I'm just watching that going, here we go again. I just, different sport, different team, dominated. And then the wheels fell off. I was never confident from that point on that they were going to win the game. It let all the air out of my sail, however you want to put it. And it just became here we go again. Another one of these games in my life. And they pissed it away. Should never have lost that game.
What did you think of that non-call that ended regulation?
Honestly, that non-call is so far down on the list of as a Lions fan, the bad calls that we have. I mean, I can go to Calvin Johnson catching the game winner, goes down to the ground, ball in his hand. He braces himself with the ball. Ball comes out. Now it's an incomplete pass, even though everyone in the world will always say that was a completed pass. And that was to win a game. Oh, okay. No, Lions lose that. I mean, there's so many of them. This was just one of those. Like I said, we hit halftime, and that's where that was. And the Lions were dominating and barely up. That's when I already accepted the Lions were going to lose this game. I don't think anything anywhere would have changed it outside of final score and the Lions won. And then I would have said, I don't understand it. My whole world changed because we never win this game. We never have in my entire lifetime. Outside of, but see that the Yankees Red Sox was different in that sense too, because after the Red Sox went down 3-0, I never felt that defeatist attitude, even, as we're going into extra innings against the Yankees and Dave Roberts steals the bag and we move on. I never had that, but that defeatist attitude was the exact same thing I felt with the 49ers and the Lions. And I told you the story. At the end of the third quarter, I was at my son-in-law and daughter's house. I just flat out left because he's a diehard Niner fan. I didn't want to take anything away. Oh, what do you mean? You still got a chance. You could win this game. And I'm like, no chance. And I left and went home and ended up watching the rest of the game, in my apartment.
Because you didn't want to be a bummer?
Yeah, I didn't want to take away from him. He needs to enjoy this. It just, but it was such a crushing defeat on my end. Uh, Even, I try to never be a poor sport. And my wife and I teach that to our kids. And no matter what it is, you need to, hey, look, great job. But I knew at that moment, there was no way I could show not show my displeasure and just frustration, anger, whatever, all rolled up into one with, gosh, why do my teams always suck? It's everyone, which, and you have it on your agony of defeats. Man, I feel like the skier back in that old one that goes skiing and crashes off over the roof of the shed or whatever it is. The agony of defeats as you watch that clip. I'm like, my teams just crash and burn all the time.
The agony of defeat, famous line from Jim McKay, old school show on Saturday afternoons called The Wide World of Sports, and when he said in the agony of defeats, they'd always show that poor skier who, as far as I could tell, died every time they showed it. So you just demonstrated a form of fan bias that we all have, and it's the opposite of my fan bias that you pointed out a few weeks ago or whatever. The idea that you never felt you because you've lost, you've been so down so many times with the Lions, the Red Sox, the Pistons, you always feel like we're going to lose this. And I
Mhm.
told the story of the 89 Super Bowl, 88 or 89, I forget, the one where Montana throws to John Taylor with 38 seconds left. They beat the Bengals 16-13, I think. um
I
I
was
never
on the
doubted.
Bengals in that game too, by the way.
Well, and I never, as a Niner fan, I never doubted it was going to happen. I was lying. I told you I was lying on the sofa with my high school girlfriend and my mom at the time, and I said they're going to win, and they were like, "They're not going to win." My mom was an anti-Niner fan, so we would poke at each other. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. And I'm just very calm. Sure enough, they won. And you said, "Wow, that must be really nice." Yeah, you win 5 Super Bowls as an adolescent. The A's. I was barely a sports fan with the 3 in a row in the 70s, right? And then you had the 80s where they go 3 times, they win one. You just get used to it. Oh, it's fine, they'll pull it out. So that's my bias. And then you have this other bias of it's never gonna win. So here's the technicality thing. Pistons game last night. You still haven't answered my question. Because you're like, it just happens. The non-call at the end of the fourth quarter. Was it the right call?
No, but we get into other calls as well, and I'm not going to blame that. It just
Exactly.
they blew this in so many ways, and my testing 1 2 3 sound check that everybody does, and I just went into a rant on Jalen Duran and the Pistons and how this guy. I'm telling you, man, he is a free agent at the end of the year. He's only 22 years old. He's an all-star, had a bright future. He's allowed to sign a max contract. And I think he has cost himself tens of millions of dollars with his performance in this postseason. I'm questioning whether or not he should even be a starter on a quality team in the NBA. He just looks so out of place. It's like he's a developmental player. It's his first 10 days in the league, and he didn't play college ball, and he's straight from high school with absolutely no clue how to play the game at this level. And, I think he can get it's something ridiculous. It's like a 4 year, $250 million contract was he's eligible for. Right now, I wouldn't give him 4 year, 150 million to keep going.
The the reason I asked about the call was because I knew historically, for the most part, neither one of us blames a bad call for an outcome, because there's other things you could have done at any time to where that call wouldn't be. Hey, Pistons, here's an idea: defend the fact you're up by 9 points with less than 3 minutes to go. Then that call doesn't matter. It doesn't even happen. So
And don't get like 3 shot clock violations and 2 turnovers. I mean, talk about just taking yourself out of the. Oh, sorry, man. We didn't realize the shot clock expired. I mean, you just keep killing yourself.
I actually said to my dog Sarge last night while I was watching, I said, Steve's got to be losing his mind. And it was right around one of those missed shot, turnover or something. I'm like, what? I'm watching this team implode and thinking, what is happening? So the reason I asked about the refs too is today NBA referees, or I'm sorry, the NBA is defending the referees having an 11% increase in foul calls during the playoffs. So far in these playoffs, 11% more than the regular season, and they are on pace to be the largest number or the largest percentage increase of personal fouls in the playoffs in NBA history. NBA Senior Vice President of Referees, Monty McCutcheon, says, yeah, there's a difference between the regular season and the playoffs. But he said refereeing doesn't fundamentally change in the postseason. Refs study tape after games like they do in the regular season. Every call is evaluated, and it's only natural for every play to come under more scrutiny. The NBA is seeing an increase in foul calls from the regular season to the playoffs for the 66th time in its 80-year history. McCutcheon says, quote, we're not putting our whistles in our pocket. That being said, I think it's fair to debate, talk passionately, like many of our fans and people in the media do, about whether that's the appropriate enough amount of whistles to blow. The complaints are more this year. They're louder this year. That could just be a function of social media, 24-hour sports coverage, etc. Is it worse this year? Have you found it? Because we every game, Steve, it feels like we have somebody bitching. JJ Redick, Bickerstaff, doesn't matter. They're all. Are you perceiving it as being worse?
I don't know if I'm perceiving it as being worse because there's been a lot that have dictated. I was in that conspiracy theory for many, many years on how the NBA uses the refs to determine the outcomes that they're looking for. And it's not like purposeful, but if you got a physical team, you're going to put refs in there if you don't want the physical team to win to call a lot of touch fouls. I think the problem I'm having more than anything is just the large disparity. If your team gets 53 free throws and my team gets, what I say, 53, so I'm going to say 50, then okay, I would still tell you that's way too much for a playoff game. You got to let them play. But when you're getting and teams are out free throwing their opponents 2-1, and they're both playing pretty much the same style. In fact, I would say that Detroit attacks the rim more than Cleveland does, and yet Cleveland's getting the foul calls and Detroit's not. I struggle with those things, but I've always believed don't allow a referee to determine an outcome of the game, even though I will tell you that I believe the referees in the NBA have more power to influence the outcome that the NBA is looking for than any other sport.
We have more NBA news later. Obviously, there is no NBA playoff game tonight. They're just turning everything over to the NFL. We'll talk hockey, and we'll keep you updated on the Players Championship as well. I just got an alert on my phone. Rough showing for Rory, who won the Masters, obviously. Rory McIlroy has just ended his first round of PGA Championship with 4 straight bogeys, his worst finish to a round at any major. He's at looks like 4 over if I caught it quickly enough, and the leaders are at 3 under. We'll keep you updated. One more note we gotta just touch on real quick. Could be nothing, could be something. New York Yankees have won only 4 of their last 10. They are in second place in the American League East, 2 games behind the Rays. And yesterday, their ace, Max Fried, left the game in Baltimore after only 3 innings and 61 pitches due to left elbow posterior soreness. He'll be examined today. He was not sharp in his outing, gave up 3 runs and 5 hits in 3 innings in his 9 previous starts, 4-2 with a 2.91 ERA. Fried himself after the game was not concerned, said, quote, I'm not too worried about it. Long term, if I can, I'll make my next start. We'll see, end quote. He finished 4th in Cy Young voting last season, the first year of his $218 million contract with the Yankees. Fried's not worried. A lot of other people are whispering Tommy John surgery, and we're waiting for the results today. You and I have been talking about the Yankees. They're a little wobbly right now, but they're the Yankees. They've got help coming. Rendon is back or is about to be back. They're about to solidify this whole staff, and then this happens. Maybe Fried's right. Maybe it's nothing, but this could be a big one.
It is a big one, and for most teams, when you lose arguably one of the best starters in baseball, it's hard for the team to rebound and recover from that. But the Yankees have Garrett Cole sitting right there. Carlos Rodon has come back. and he's ready to go. They were looking at moving either Will Warren out of the rotation, and he's been pitching really well to this point. So they have that riches for starting pitching. Still, you can't lose a top starting pitcher. But if any team besides the Dodgers can replace that pitcher, and I got to throw the Braves in there because the Braves have lost so much with their starters as too. Those are like the three teams that can overcome it. So I'm not worried. If Garrett Cole wasn't close, I'd be a lot more worried. But they say Cole's going to hit the roster here by the end of this month.
By June, exactly. So we'll keep an eye on that story. If anything breaks about Fried today, we'll tell you. The NFL schedule comes out in, 5 hours-ish. We already know most of the important stuff, but we'll go over some of the teases and other things as well coming
It's
up.
the Rob and Steve Sports Show, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say,
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040. Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show. Call the show at 888-587-5355 or email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
checking the leaderboard at the PGA Championship, which is bouncing around from goofy name to goofy name. You still got Aldridge Potgeier or whatever. He's in the clubhouse at 3 under, as are a bunch of other people you don't know. Stefan Yeager, Minwoo Lee, Rio Hisasusuni. I don't know. I watch golf. I don't know what these names are. Jesus. Daniel Brown. There's the Gala. He's still at 2 under. Xander Schauffele's in the clubhouse at 2 under. We told you Rory's 4 over. Terrible opening day. Brooks Koepka is at 1 under. We'll keep an eye on other names of note. Keegan Bradley is even right now. He's just started. All right, the big news of the day, obviously. The schedule. The NFL schedule comes out. We talked yesterday about how the NFL is making life hard on the San Francisco 49ers. They have scheduled them not just 1, but 2 international games, kicking off with the first ever trip to Australia. Okay, it is BS, and I'm doing this to confirm something Steve brought up yesterday, but just a cautionary tale to my fellow brethren and the team. Let's not play into being the 40 whiners. Yeah, it sucks. We don't need to keep bringing it up like Kyle Shanahan did again yesterday. Week 11, the Niners will play their second out-of-country bout in Mexico City, so that's where they're traveling more. Now, there's a lot of scuttlebutt as we wait for the schedule. Steve brought this up yesterday. What's the Niners schedule going to? And a lot of people are really interested in this because of the travel. How much will or could the NFL screw the 49ers by making them? They got to travel the East Coast a couple times. What are they going to make them do after that trip to Australia? And then they come back. A lot of people are speculating. So the Niners will play on Thursday our time, Friday Australia time. The Seahawks opened the season the day before on Wednesday. Well, what if somebody, I saw, was it Adam Schefter? Somebody said, well, what if the NFL decided in week 2 that the Seahawks and Niners will play? The Seahawks have the same amount or even more. They have more rest, plus the Niners have the airline trip and such. Would that screw over the? Yes, it would screw over the 49ers. The counter to that is they don't usually do 2 division games to start the season because the Niners play their. We'll see. You brought up the mileage thing. I just wanted to confirm yesterday. You brought up the mileage thing yesterday. I just wanted to confirm today. Yes, the Niners will set a record. 38,105 total miles traveled this season, and it's not even close. The second team is 10,000 miles fewer, the Texans. That's how much the Niners are traveling this season. The Patriots are at 27,000 miles, Chargers 24, Eagles 22, Saints 21. So there's your teams at 20,000 or more. The Niners are the only one at over 30,000. At the bottom, the Panthers, they need all the help they can get. They'll only travel 8,700 miles. The Bears, 10,000 miles. The Packers, 12,000 miles. So you had the numbers all almost always exactly right, Steve. Okay, it is what it is. Niners got to get over it. But that I do not understand the logic, and I would say this about any team, of making one team go to Australia and then 10 weeks later go down to Mexico. I know the Mexico trip's short, but still, I don't get that.
And I am curious for that stretch for the Detroit Lions with their game in Germany.
Lions?
There is that question. The Lions might be forced, if they don't get that bye week in there, to play 3 games in a 12-day span because they have it. They have the Thanksgiving day. And if the Lions really get stuck with a schedule of 3 games in 12 days, I mean, that's going to be interesting.
Brutal.
Yeah. By the way, I do have all the week 1 matchups. I don't know if the schedule has been released. I got point spreads too for those who might be interested.
So the full quote unquote schedule has not been technically released, but everything is leaking. And in fact, it goes to something else that we were talking about yesterday. Reports regarding the specific games on the schedule have been rampant. The former release tonight, 5 o'clock Pacific time. But the leaks are everywhere, and we were speculating, okay, wait a minute, the travel secretaries, how is this happening? Well, according to ProFootballTalk.com, the teams do know their schedules. The NFL teams have known their schedules for a few weeks. Great example. They point to those release videos, like the Chiefs had released one earlier this week. Everybody's releasing one, each team, which the NFL does not, they don't oversee them. And they're like, fine, do whatever. But those didn't just come together on their own. The teams had to know, hey, this, you can promote this. This is going to be your first game. at least. Those videos don't emerge spontaneously tonight. And with so many people at the teams aware of their slate of games, it's low-hanging fruit for those who are inclined to let the cat out of the bag. Of course, you need one person in the Lions organization who's on the traveling team to call Adam Schefter to answer Steve's question before the damn schedule comes out tonight. No indication the NFL doesn't like the leaking of games. Of course they don't. Of course they love it. It's the NFL's in the news, and they know we're still going to pay attention tonight because Steve's just giving us another reason. If you have a team and that team is traveling this year, you really want to see what's going on around those travel weeks. So there is a reason. Most of what we're all going to pay attention to, we've been told. Not all of it, but most of it. And apparently we know all of week one. So as we go through it, here are the leaks so far. Week one, 17 weeks from the night, 26 NFL season begins. And it looks like they will do the right thing. Boy, the reporting yesterday was they were going to go the other direction. The NFL was smart. The season for 2026 will begin the same way 2025 ended Wednesday, September 9th. The first game of the regular season, the Seahawks will host the Patriots. They were going to host the Patriots at some point anyways. When we all saw it, we went, well, duh. Boy, were people telling us it would be the Bears. It wasn't the Bears. It'll be the Patriots. The first week one Super Bowl rematch in a decade. The 2016 season began then with the Broncos and Panthers rematch. With the Bears not playing opening night against Seattle, they will instead face off against another team that had a playoff berth. The Bears will be in Charlotte to face the Panthers on Sunday afternoon to open the weekend. So they did the right thing with the Patriots, Steve. A lot of people are saying it's unfair. Boy, everybody's unfair. It's not right. It's not right to make the Patriots go all the way across the country. They're just going to get humiliated again.
No, it's the right thing. This is the stars align. If the NFL doesn't take this opportunity, it's the NFL that missed. And I'm glad to see it. I think it's the right thing to do. And I hate to break it to those fans. You know, there are teams, half the teams have to open up on the road. I mean, do you really think it's fair that the Niners on opening week, oh, we got to go all the way to Australia to play our game? Believe me, I think the Patriots would rather go to Seattle than Australia.
I don't know why the other week one leak before the show began was to tell us that the Bears will be playing the whoever the Panther. Who cares? Anyway, you have the whole week one release now. This is all week one.
I have the whole week one, and I have point spreads too, if anyone is interested.
Well, I mean, everything else I have are all the big highlighted games that have leaked. But hey, why not? Let's go over week one because that's the first one. That's what we're all looking for. We know we got Seahawks, Patriots to start the season.
Yes, right now Patriots at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are sitting at a 4.5 point favorite in this game, and the over and under has opened at 44.5.
Now, people can bet on these games once now, right? Now?
Yeah. What? Yes. The fact that I do see it means that some places are already open and taking action on it.
So, because the idea there is it's 5 months from the game or 4 months from the game, you can, if you like a number, take it now, lock it in, see what changes, sort of thing. So,
I was going to say yes, and the beauty of this is if you really know what you're doing, because these numbers are going to come out and they're going to be different at different places because the bookmakers for those establishments are going to put their opinion in it. So you're not going to get some crazy like, oh, one place has 3 and one place has 7, because us bookmakers, we can see what the lines are elsewhere. But you might see, you know, some games, and I've seen where one team's 1, the other team's, you know, and that same team's 2.5 somewhere else. So you will get some differences in point spreads out there.
So we've got the Seahawks hosting the Patriots. That's the opener on week one. The next night, Thursday Night Football, the Niners and the Rams are in Australia. We did already know that one.
Yeah, the Rams are sitting at a 3-point favorite off that opener, and the total right now is 49 to 49.5.
And we've only heard a few other smatterings. We know the Sunday night game and other than that. But what else? Okay, what are the other week one matchups? Let's see if these are any good.
Cleveland Browns at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are a 7-point favorite in that game.
That's awful.
The next one is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are currently sitting at 2.5. Then we have the Baltimore Ravens at the Indianapolis Colts. And right now the Ravens are a road favorite at -3.5.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlanta Falcons at the Pittsburgh Steelers. A wonderful opening week 1 game with the Steelers, with the thought that Aaron Rodgers will be their quarterback, currently sitting at a 1.5-point favorite over the Falcons. And we move on to the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. Texans defense was outstanding last year, and I think they may only be getting better. Bills are a 2.5-point favorite in that game.
I like that one. I like the Texans. I mean, just because of the point spread. I mean, and the defense. Because you're right, that Texans defense is going to be it should be insane.
Yes. Then we have the Chicago Bears, as you mentioned, against the Carolina Panthers. The Bears are a 2.5-point favorite on the road as well.
Don't care.
And the most exciting game of the weekend, the New York Jets travel to the Tennessee Titans. That is a barn burner in itself, with the Titans sitting at a 2.5-point favorite as the Jets fight their way to a Super Bowl championship, as they believe they're going to.
That one I did have. It was so unimportant that I put it at the very bottom of the pile because who cares? But now that you mentioned it, there's a little tie in there. Like, people like these stories, whether it was planned or not. So week 1, right? Well, remember that the Titans head coach now, Robert Saleh, used to coach the Jets. Offensive coordinator Brian Daboll used to coach the Giants. So Saleh was the head coach of the Jets until 2004. His first game with the Titans, as Steve just told us, will be a visit from the Jets, his former employers. Well, a couple weeks later, Brian Daboll gets to visit the Giants at MetLife Stadium week 3. So, yay, former coaches playing former teams. Yes. That's neat.
Then we go to the New Orleans Saints at the Detroit Lions. Lions are opening up as a 6.5-point favorite. That's a big point spread for week 1. But the biggest point spread on the board for week 1 is the next game, with the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Chargers open a 10.5-point favorite in week 1 against the Cardinals. Who will be their quarterback? Carson Beck or Jacoby Brissett?
He's the one that hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, right. He hasn't even shown up yet. Or Gardner Minshew. So a lot to happen in Arizona for the Cardinals.
Give me Garoppolo.
Yeah, really. He's still unsigned. Who knows? I think he might end up in the Cleveland Browns, because what do they have? 5 quarterbacks? They need to add a 6th before the season starts to really keep that competition going.
Oh,
then we have the Miami Dolphins opening up at the Death Star Allegiant Stadium against the Las Vegas Raiders. And Raider fans, look at this one, because you are a favorite in this game. The Raiders are sitting at a 3-point favorite. They're not going to be favorite in a whole lot of games this year, but this is one that they will be. And the next game I have some interest in, with the Washington Commanders opening at the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm hoping the Commanders come back. The Eagles self-implode. But the Eagles right now are a 4.5-point favorite in the game. And talking about, those divisional games like the Niners-Rams that you were saying they're not going to have them play 2 in a row. You got the Packers-Vikings opening up. Packers at the Vikings, week 1. Packers are a 1.5-point favorite at Minnesota in this game. See Kyler Murray and see what he can do. Or will J.J. McCarthy find a way to beat him? Can you imagine if J.J. McCarthy beats out Kyler Murray for that starting job? Because Kyler Murray just lays an egg big time in preseason.
No, I can't imagine it. And that's something bigger than an egg. No.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to add the smell to it. So
yeah, good.
The Dallas Cowboys Sunday night at the New York Giants. Right. As we know, the Cowboys are a 2.5-point favorite in that. And the Monday night game, we already know, Denver Broncos at the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs are a 3-point favorite. They are banking that Patrick Mahomes will be ready to go week 1 against the Broncos, or they're saying that Bo Nix may not be ready to go for the Broncos. So
Yeah,
that's
an
that
interesting one.
quarterback question.
Yeah, that really is, because that's one where you really do wonder if right now today you should just go ahead and take a flyer, because that's all the reporting is. Will Mahomes? Like, oh, it sure looks like Mahomes is going to be running. We went, but and all of it's the other way on Knicks. Oh, there's a problem in Denver. There's a problem. That one is a wild one, and it's one of what 3 decent match. I know what the NFL is doing here. Okay, Commanders, Eagles. You said yes. That because of the intrigue, because it's a division matchup, because of the Jaden Daniels thing. Okay, pretty good. The Monday night game, Chiefs, Broncos, whatever the story winds up being, good matchup. Bills, Texans, yeah, good matchup. Dolphins, Raiders actually is the one that really made me go, oh, all right. We get to see Mendoza. Maybe, or do we? Cousins. Dolphins are terrible.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, for those who have a limited supply of TVs, is the 1:00 game is the Cardinals, Chargers, Dolphins, Raiders, and then the Commanders, Eagles, Packers, Vikings. You got to think that that's going to be the doubleheader in the afternoon with the Commanders, Eagles, Packers, Vikings. Nobody's going to watch the Cardinals, Chargers, or the Dolphins, Raiders unless you go at least 3 to 4 TVs deep.
There's gonna be some interest in the Raider game, depending now, because there's a curiosity over how does Cousins look, or God forbid Mendoza starts or whatever. The thing is, here's what the NFL is doing. You can tell they're banking on the fact it's week 1. These are not impressive matchups. A lot of what you said. I'm like, the Falcons, Steelers, ugh. The Ravens, Colts, Daniel Jones, maybe. I don't know.
The 10:00 games, I can only come up with 3 that even pique my interest, with the Bucks, Bengals, okay,
Right.
the Ravens, Colts, and then it's the Bills, Texans. I have no interest
Right.
in the Saints, Lions. I am a Lions fan. The Jets, Titans, the Bears, Panthers, the Falcons, Steelers, the Browns, Jags. So there's a lot of duds in that morning 10:00 slot.
Yeah, and I'm convinced the NFL is going, what do we care? They're going to watch. It's week 1. Let's do the worst we can, and then we'll really start bringing it back. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so there's week 1, the full schedule at 5:00 tonight Pacific time. Other leaks already. We already knew officially there will be an NFL first Thanksgiving Eve game Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. It'll take place at 5:00 Pacific time, streamed on Netflix. So look, as I said yesterday, if you're a hardcore NFL fan, you already made this decision, because that's the Christmas game. So last year you already went, all right, fine. Well, now there's the day before Thanksgiving on Netflix. This is the added game of the Thanksgiving week, and we now know there will be 5 standalone games that week. The league has played 3 games on Thanksgiving Day for 20 years. They added the Black Friday game 3 years ago. There was a rumor there'd be a second one. It looks like that's not going to happen on Friday. And then now you have the Wednesday game and then the full slate on Sunday. The game on Thanksgiving Eve, good matchup, Packers at the Rams. Okay.
Yeah, I liked that one. That was a good spot. Curious to see Jordan Love. Is he going to stay healthy? Is he going to take that next big step? Closed out the season disappointingly this past season. So we'll see where the Packers go.
This is the thing about schedule day. All true. But the Thanksgiving game, we're halfway through the season. So who knows who's healthy, who's not. But it's a great matchup no matter what. And they in fact, they leaked everything for Thanksgiving. The Detroit Lions obviously will mark the beginning of Thanksgiving, like I always do. 9:30-ish on CBS. It'll be the 86th time that the Lions will play on Thanksgiving, and they will oppose a division rival for the 4th straight season. Good matchup. The Bears and Lions will start us off on Thanksgiving. I like that. All right.
It's a good matchup. I still have flashbacks to Walter Payton rushing for like 276 yards or whatever it was years ago to set the record. And I believe he broke O.J. Simpson's record in a single game on Thanksgiving Day with that. So
we have Thanksgiving Eve, Packers Lions, good matchup. We've got Thanksgiving morning, Lions hosting the Bears, good matchup. Cowboys are playing the Eagles, right, for the 1:00 game. I know it's a good game. I think it's the Eagles.
Yes.
And then we now know how it will all end. They will close out the NFL's Thanksgiving slate of games Thursday night. 5 o'clock, the primetime game on NBC. The Chiefs are at the Bills. Okay, that's good.
It is, and I have to hand it to the NFL because I've been critical of like a lot of the Thursday night games, the Monday night games over the years, but they understand where the money's coming from with the selling it off, and this year, as they've released all these games one by one for the last 6 months, it feels like they've done a great job at what appears to me to be taking all the marquee games and throwing them in those one-offs and those, nationally televised games, which I think is wonderful. Just makes me wonder who's going to be watching like Sunday morning. And I know we all will, but it's like all the big games you could think of now are in their own prime time slot, which is great. But does it devalue their product on Sundays?
Hard to tell, right? It's what the NFL is all about, is that you don't know. Like what today, this is the other thing that's so stupid. There's exciting stuff. I mean, we're wasting at least a segment and a half on this thing about schedule release day. You get these marquee matchups, okay, great. And then you might see one week 10, I don't know, the Titans are playing the Giants. Like, oh God. Well, what if both of those teams do what a lot of us think they will? They're both giant turnarounds. And Harbaugh and Saleh are both, I don't know, maybe they're both in first place. There's all sorts of things that the NFL counts on to hope that you buoy them, like a 10 a.m. game on a Sunday, late October, that right now seems stupid, might be really important. But I don't know. They may. I mean, they haven't told it. The thing they haven't told us is Christmas. I'm trying to figure out what's left, right? Christmas.
I saw a Christmas Day game.
Did you? Which one? I don't know if it's.
I gotta think about. I know the Chicago Bears are playing Christmas Day. Because I went, wow, the Bears are pulling Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day, which Packers Bears will face off on Christmas Day. So that'll be a good game. And I wonder with these different things, because you're paying extra money for these packages, how long will it be before the NFL allows the flex of those games?
Right.
So that, if I got to pay extra money for it, I want a good game. I don't want to be paying extra money and then just get a, as you said, November, December, what looks like a great game today might be awful. And because these companies are paying that kind of money for those one-offs, you have to believe at a certain point they're going to allow them to start flexing that best game somewhere out of it into basically the pay-per-view game.
So what I was trying to do there, and you gave us one of them, is what we were doing yesterday. What's left other than looking at your own personal team? Because, like you said, I mean, first thing I'm looking at, Steve, is the Niners. What are they doing around those 2 travel weeks outside of the country? Things like there's little things like, but other than your team, we've got like 2 Christmas games that, as of right now, haven't been announced. We got 5 hours to go, so who knows?
And I do have another one in week 17. The Thursday night game will be the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Baltimore Ravens. They keep playing every year on national TV, but they always seem to play in Baltimore. So this will be interesting because this game's going to be in Cincinnati for that week 17 matchup.
And to me, that is a perfect example of the kind of game that right now today looks intriguing and could suck. Only because of recent history, right? With both the Ravens and the Bengals, what if by the time we get there, we're doing that thing of which one is not going to the playoffs? Who cares? Who knows? So they're just pounding these things out left and right, the leaks and such. We'll have the full schedule at 5 o'clock and go over it tomorrow. There are this article. We'll get to that in a second. First, a couple of notes. New York Giants star Malik Neighbors underwent a second surgery on his knee 7 months after suffering a torn ACL. He first had ACL and meniscus surgery at the end of October, but according to The Athletic, the receiver went under the knife again multiple weeks ago, in order to remove scar tissue that was causing stiffness. I don't know that the two are related, but we've been wondering what is with Harbaugh flirting with Odell Beckham Jr. The Giants have all these receivers and Neighbors is coming back. Maybe this is the issue. I don't know. maybe because the Giants with Jackson Dart, who also made news yesterday, he went out saying how aggressive and physical the Giants offense is going to be, and he starts rattling off all the weapons he has. You're like, yeah, there could be something there, and Harbaugh's your coach, but if Neighbors doesn't, how long is Neighbors out kind of thing, that's not great if he can't play in week 1.
Yeah, Neighbors just missing any time is a serious blow, I think, to that Giants offense. He's such a great young wide receiver. I hope he gets healthy. It seems a little late to be removing some of that scar tissue, though. Normally, isn't that like a couple of months after the surgery? And we're looking at this like 6 months later. That would have me a little bit worried if I was the Giants and how late this. And again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how these things work out, but it just seems really late for that procedure to be taking place.
I think that's where all the concern and speculation is coming from, because so the reporting is the second surgery was multiple weeks ago, quote, quote, vague. What is that? Is that 4? Because a few weeks ago is 3. Multiple weeks ago, is that 4 or 12? Because there's a big difference. Either way, your first surgery was end of October. End of December would be 2 months, 8 weeks later. My experience, although I haven't had this particular surgery, but I had horrible knee problems playing baseball in high school. Steve, that's about the time where you would go in, you'd clear anything out. That would be the end of December. Okay, well, multiple weeks ago, it's May, middle of May. You would have said months ago if it would have been December. So, yeah, there's a concern there.
Yeah, even if it was March, you would have said, I think, months ago, not just, weeks ago.
Right. And by the way, Malik Neighbors being out, it's not just bad for the Giants. That's one of those guys that's bad for the NFL.
Mhm.
Guy is electric when he's healthy. Dude lights it up. He's fun to watch. And you don't have to be a fan, right, of the Giants at all to just go, yeah, we want to see this guy play. He's on that list. The NFL is better when Malik Neighbors is healthy. And I don't want to see this guy who's got so much potential turn it into injury, and we never see him kind of thing.
Agree.
Yesterday, we did this stupid over-under wins thing after the draft, before the schedule. Last night, NFL.com, after all the leaks, but still not the schedule, they actually did their predictions for every team's record without knowing the schedule. Well, that's different. Usually, people wait to see when you're going to play. No, we're just going to fly right through it here. It's silly. I'm not going through all of it. Just some things that stuck out. Let's see. They got the Ravens at 12-5. The Browns at 4-13. Did we do the Browns yesterday on the over/under? Did we? Where are they?
4.5.
They were down in the 4.5.
I believe they were 4.5 with the Cardinals.
The NFL.com has the Browns at 4 wins, 4-13. The Steelers, they don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is coming back. 8-9. 8-9 sounds right. If Aaron Rodgers comes back.
If Aaron Rodgers comes back, then we're at 9-8. So we're 8-9 or 9-8. Hang at 8.5 and let the public tell me where to go.
Last year's Super Bowl losers, the Patriots 11-6. Oh, they've got the Patriots at 11-6 and the Bills at 10-7. Okay. Let's see. Jets 6-11. Jaguars 11-6. Okay.
What Trevor Lawrence is showing up? The one that's played most of his career, or the one that played last year?
Exactly. And that's what, by the way, that they do have notes on all these. Most of them are irrelevant, but they wrote quarterback Trevor Lawrence looked like the best version of himself last year. Right. So they're banking on that's the new one. We'll see. Let's see. Texans 10-7. Titans 5-12. That's wrong. I'm already predicting that's wrong. Titans are going to win more than 5.
Where do they got the Raiders? And I know I'm jumping. I'm sorry. You keep piquing my interest.
Oh, where do they have the Raiders in win-loss?
Yeah.
5-12.
There you go. We're sitting at 5. There you go. All right.
The Chiefs 9-8. Okay. Let's see. So we were talking about the South yesterday, and what did you said in the South? You thought we would be looking again at maybe an 8-win team win the division. Okay.
Yes, like 8-9, 9-8 at best out of that division right now.
9-8 at best. Okay. The NFL.com: Falcons, Panthers, Buccaneers, Saints. All 4 of them at 7-10.
Wouldn't that be incredible? All 4, 7-10. how deep would they have to go in tiebreakers to try to figure that out? Because but then wouldn't it be interesting if 6 wins for one of those 7 and 10 teams came from their division? So they swept their division. So they win the tiebreaker, but they won one game outside of their division the whole rest of the season. And they still win their division. That would be crazy.
I love that story. That's good. Okay. Let's see. NFL.com. The Eagles 12-5. Stop licking their rear. They've got the Commanders at 10-7, and that is presuming Jaden Daniels is back. Cowboys at 9-8, and the Harbaugh Giants at 8-9. I would not be surprised without seeing the schedule if the Giants found a way to win 10 games this season.
I'd love to see it. I really would. And I don't like the Giants, but it's just a John Harbaugh thing. Let's give him some success and some pain to the Cowboys.
Exactly. See, and you missed one. So it's a John Harbaugh thing for me first, pain to the Cowboys, and then pain to the Eagles. Because just stop. Just end this Eagles thing. End it. God. Just, you know what? Let the Commanders win the division with Jaden Daniels back. Let the Giants be second and go to the wild card, and the Eagles and the Cowboys both miss the postseason. Oh, I would love that story.
Wouldn't that be a wonderful off-season next year, going into that with both of them missing the playoffs and the Giants and the Commanders finishing ahead of both teams? I would love that scenario.
NFC North, they went Lions 11-6, Bears, Packers 10-7, Vikings 9-8. I don't think the Vikings are winning 9, but okay. I do agree they're in 4th.
That's a lot of wins for one division.
Yeah, and they're all coming away from the Vikings. Come on. NFC West, you want to talk about a lot of wins. Well, for 3 of the teams. They've got NFL.com. This is their big winner, their team of the year. Because remember, they have the Ravens at 12-5. Right now, they got the Seahawks at 13-4. The Rams at 11-6. Niners at 11-6. And then the Cardinals at 3-14.
Okay, you have to do the AFC West next because that's the division that they play. And I'm curious if they're going to put 3 teams out of that with the Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers all at like 11 wins. And again, my question will go back to, where are the losses coming from?
In the AFC West, they got the Chargers at 12-5, the big winners, because they put both the Broncos and Chiefs at 9-8.
Oh, okay.
There it is. And the Raiders at 5-12. So there's your because Broncos, Chiefs, you don't know about Knicks and Mahomes and what's the deal. So there you go. There's what they say for over/under win totals without the actual schedule.
Right. That's the best part of the whole thing. And yeah, we still don't know who plays who what week.
No, but here's how it's all going to end. We'll see how that works out.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. MAP, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A microseal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes microseal this way with a bunch of AI words. Microseal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah 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 and blue 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 blue. What AI is trying to say is that microseal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and although AI doesn't say this, it should, you need to contact a longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get him to apply microseal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had microseal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. Microseal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? But there's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about microseal and everything else that Joel offers. At AdvantageSteam.com, that's AdvantageSteam.com, AdvantageSteam.com.
Just two friends talking sports and only sports. Unless Rob goes off on one of his tangents, email the show, ras@theradnetwork.com.
5 guys at 3 under at the PGA Championship. They are all in the clubhouse. Everybody is finally out playing at some point. And the 5 guys, you've never heard of any of them. You've never heard of most of them at the bottom. Rory McIlroy went 4 over today. He's got a lot of work to do. Tomorrow. There was some weird story. Bryson DeChambeau at some point didn't know the rules. I didn't get the details on it, but I got an alert on my phone. That might be a fun story to find later on in the day. We'll keep an eye on it. We were talking about in the opening segment, we're going over various headlines, and we're talking about Max Fried of the Yankees. How hurt is he? Is he out for the year? Is he out for a month? Is he not out at all? The Yankees, everybody's looking at, they're going to get all this pitching back, and then they're going to lose their ace. Well, we'll see. Another name that's been talked about a lot recently on this show is this guy, Mizorowski of the Brewers. Our guy, Steve, is the one that won't shut up about Mizorowski. Jacob Mizorowski, we told you, against the Yankees, had 10 pitches, go at least 103 miles an hour, and had 3 pitches of 103.6, the highest velocity any starter reached since pitch tracking began 20 years ago. 40 pitches of 100 miles an hour or higher on Wednesday, his 3rd straight game with 40 or more. I love, this is such a great quote from Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge said that the extension that Mizorowski gets with his 6'7" frame makes his fastball particularly difficult to hit. He said, quote, he's basically releasing the ball into the catcher's glove. That's fantastic. From the best hitter in the game. That is fantastic.
And then he's got like this freak arm because it doesn't look like he's putting that much effort into it. And in order to throw at that speed, yes, his height helps. That extension off the mound helps. But still, to be able to hit 103, it's crazy to look at. He's not given up a run in his last 3 outings. He is turning into an even better, because I've been touting this guy for a year now. He's actually exceeding my expectations with the way he's looking now.
Now, he did have to come out for the 8th inning on Wednesday when he was throwing against the Yankees. He left with a cramp in his right quadriceps after throwing a warm-up pitch in the Milwaukee Brewers 3-1 loss to the San Diego Padres. Sorry, wrong day I gave you there, but that's when he left. He had a no-hit bid through 5 1/3 innings in an 8-1 victory at Washington on May 1st before he departed that game with a right hamstring cramp. So he's a cramper. Jacob Mizorowski says he isn't particularly concerned about the cramping that has caused him to leave 2 of his past 3 starts. fine. He's 24. What does he know? It's a little bit of a concern when you leave 2 games for the same reason, and it's in that damn. So he's got crampings in his right leg, and then there's also reports that he has, but it's not being said out loud, some oblique thing. This freaking obliques. I'm so tired of these things, but it's really this right leg issue. Now he can say he's not concerned. You got to believe the Brewers are all over this because this kid's too good.
He's too good. They cannot afford him to go down. He is one of those like we see with Paul Skeens, Tyreek Skubal. He can become the face of Major League Baseball as one of the top 5 pitchers in the game. And his ceiling is off the charts. I don't know how many pitchers that I could sit there and say that he still has room to grow. I mean, he's young and he hasn't filled out. He's 6'7", but I think he's like a $180 or something like that. What happens when he starts growing and putting a little muscle on? And you know what I'm saying? Learning pitching, Pedro Martinez is dominating pitcher. He wasn't that way right out of the gate. Randy Johnson, it took a while. But once he starts putting some meat on those bones and gaining that experience, because he's a skinny little rail kid for like 6'7".
Well, you're really anti-thin. You go on the same rant about Wembanyama too. Whenever we give you a chance,
You gotta be able to hold up through the course of the season, and it worries me at what's he listed at.
I will check.
Okay.
I checked something else first. I will get back to that, but we will
Okay.
find out how what Mizorowski's tape is on that. But what I did want to mention is Brewers right now are they're playing, and the Brewers have come. Remember, the Brewers for a while they were wobbly there in that National League Central, which is still close. 5 games separate first and last place, but the Brewers have won 7 of their last 10. They're in second. They're 2.5 games behind the Cubs. They're tied with the Cardinals. They are currently playing the Padres, the first place San Diego Padres by half a game. And in the bottom of the 4th, the Brewers are up 6-0. So, America, right now.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I mean, Gavin Sheets hit a 3-run homer in the 9th inning for the Padres to beat the Brewers in that game 3-1. That was a tough loss for the Brewers. And Kyle Harrison on the mound for the Brewers has looked fantastic with the Brewers. And what is it with the Brewers and they're being able to take these pitchers that other teams just, they're never going to fully develop. They're never going to make it. And Kyle Harrison is throwing great. He's got like a 1.1 whip. I shake my head. And, we watch the Brewers bullpen. And Josh Hader goes away, Devin Williams goes away, and the Brewers the last 2 weeks prior to last night, their bullpen has been locked down, shut down as well. It just something goes on in Milwaukee, like with Tampa Bay. They really know how to pick the pitchers that fit with their team and develop them to where they become, excellent pitchers.
It is the top of the 8th inning in New York, and the team that everybody was watching lose over and over again. We were all wondering about would their manager get fired. He didn't. The New York Mets are currently up in the top of the 8th inning over the wobbly Detroit Tigers. It is 8-3. The Mets are 17-25, 12.5 games back of the Braves. They've won 2 in a row and 6 of the last 10. The Tigers have lost 2 in a row and have won only 3 of their last 10. And the Tigers and their internal crap going on too with the pitching staff and stuff, Steve, I'm starting to wonder if this is affecting the team more than we'd like it to.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going wrong with the Tigers right now. I wish that wasn't the case. The Mets with a extra inning win last night. Today they're going with their star pitcher, Nolan McLean. If you don't know who he is a player to watch. He is one of these phenom starting pitchers, and many feel that he is a better pitching prospect and a better pitcher than Jacob Mizorowski, who I've been touting for the last year. So that gives you an idea of how good he is. Tigers got to him early. They put up 3 runs, but the Mets have taken control. And Nolan McLean, 45 innings this year. He's only given up 16 runs, 57 strikeouts, and only 12 walks. One of the things I love with pitchers, if you're going to pitch for me, is don't give up free passes. You need to throw strikes. I would sacrifice some strikeouts in order to eliminate the walks. And Nolan McLean, his stuff is nasty. He is an unbelievable young pitcher.
Now, another issue came up last night with the Mets, something we just talked about, and it does look like it's going to be a growing story. We told you about Sunday when home plate umpire Carlos Torres denied a challenge from both the Baltimore Orioles and the A's at different parts of the game, and we were like, what? You can't just do that. Yeah, actually, they can. Under MLB rules, only the pitcher, the catcher, or the batter can initiate a challenge. They have 2 seconds. The umpires have discretion to deny requests that don't meet the standards. Now, remember, the standards are they have 2 seconds to signal for a challenge, and they've got to make sure that they hit their helmet. There's a little wiggle room, though, apparently. And is this the umpire strikes back thing going on? I don't know. I don't know because it's a story. Brett Batty last night, the New York Mets infielder, raised his hand, his right hand, 6th inning last night, or Tuesday night rather, and but he never touched his helmet. He never touched it. He raised his hand. In fact, if you watch the replay, which everybody has done now, it looks like he was just going to do the old pull the bill down sort of thing. He never did tap it. The replays show he never touched his helmet. Didn't matter. Home plate umpire Junior Valentine saw the arm go up, prematurely said, "That's a challenge." Batty argued. He said, no. And Valentine said, "Too bad, we're doing a challenge, my discretion." Strike stood, and the Mets were out of challenges. This is the 6th inning. Reviews showed clearly Batty never touched his helmet. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza came out to argue. He was told umpire discretion. So is this the new thing now? I wonder, did Valentine flex only because of what Torres did on Sunday, or is it a coincidence? Either way, it's out there now.
I think this is going to become more and more an issue. I think the umpires don't like the ABS challenges. I think they feel that it shows them up. And I think the umpires have realized they do have that clause at their discretion. And I think they're going to start using it more and more. And I'm curious to see where baseball steps in on it. And there are some obvious ones. But there was a guy last night who struck out and took like 4 steps to the dugout. Probably not that many, but like struck out, knew it, and then he decided he wanted to challenge it. The umpire was like, "No, it's too late." And then he gets all upset, and it goes from there. And I agree with the umpire in that situation, but they're gonna make mistakes. But I think umpires are really attaching themselves to that discretion, and I think it's going to become more and more of an issue as the season goes on.
And less popular. This is not what anybody wants to see, especially the fans. And you reminded me, the other thing where the umpires are supposed to have discretion, because the example of this guy walking back to the dugout, is if the umpire, for any reason, believes that you're challenging because somebody else told you to, then he can deny it. The idea being other people, other players, they have different angles. Are they watching on TV? What are they seeing? Kind of thing. I'm not saying that's what happened last night, but that's another reason that they can. But when you say discretion, it's kind of like cops and probable cause. Like how, they can just say whatever. I didn't think, I didn't hear, I didn't know. I'm not cops, I'm talking about the umpires. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And it's a bad approach. If the umpires are doing this in unison, or just a few of them enough that are going to be in the news, this is not what anybody wants to see. It's just not.
And I have seen an increase of that over the last week and a half, of just, umpire, I just didn't see it. I didn't see you challenge it. Too bad. It's too late. We're not going to go there. And the batter like immediately tapped his helmet, but no, we're just not going to go there. I didn't see it, so I can't.
Shohei returned last night. Now he also returned this season, right? To full-time two-way role play, and he's pitching better than ever. Oh, but he's slumping. Remember the 0-for-18 slump? It's the end of the world. But he is, by Shohei Ohtani standards, he is slumping unlike anything. That's the point I made earlier this week. Is it's Shohei, so the spotlight is huge. He is less than 2 months away from his 32nd birthday, and he's attempting a full season two-way role for the first time in 4 years. And last night against the Giants lineup that was gathering momentum, Ohtani leaned in on his fastball and his sweeper. This is another game I was flipping around to. And Ohtani's just one of those guys when he's throwing. Man, that sweeper his is devastating. He threw 7 scoreless innings in a 4-0 victory, snapped the Dodgers' 4-game losing streak. Shohei's ERA is now .82. That's a 0 in front of it. .82, the 6th lowest through a pitcher's first 7 starts since 1994. He didn't hit. He's not hitting today. Did they start yet? I don't know. They're playing today. No, they're playing tonight. Okay. He's not hitting, or he's not supposed to hit today. As a pitcher, Ohtani is trending towards the Cy Young that he has made clear he wants to win with this extraordinary season of his. But as Steve brought up yesterday, the dream of him also winning the MVP is not looking good because he's not putting up Shohei numbers behind the plate. And Steve says you can't give the MVP to only a pitcher. He's wrong about that, but that's okay. That's another argument we've had another time. And so he's got. Do we really think that Shohei's losing it? I agree with you. I think it would be amazing if Shohei just pitched, but we all want to see him hit. I don't believe he's like. They keep blaming it on this workload thing. I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either. I think it's just he's going through a slump right now. He's trying to figure out. The bright spot is he's pitching as one of the best pitchers in the league. And as a fan, I would love to see Shohei win the Cy Young and hit about 230 and kind of force baseball writers. Do you give him the MVP because he still hit 230, but he may have 30 home runs on the year and 30 stolen bases? I mean, do you go there because his pitching was that outstanding? And then the dude hit 230. I mean, come on, you can't give him an MVP for that. Again, another conversation for another time, but I'd love to see it.
You bring up an interesting point if we don't go so nuclear as 230. So let's say Shohei has this blowout pitching year, wins 20, and has an ERA of 1 or less. I mean, he's obviously
just 1.5. I mean, anything under 2 is going to be phenomenal.
So it's obvious he's the Cy Young winner in this scenario. I mean, come on. And he's playing for the Dodgers, which we assume they're going to win eventually. They'll turn this around. They win the division, etc. Okay, now he hits 2, so he's valuable. And he had this stellar pitching season, but don't make it 230. What if he hits 280?
I was going to say 260 with 25 bombs and 25 stolen bases.
Make it an off year for Shohei, but a decent year for others. Okay, 260, 280, whatever. I was going to do 30-30 because then you still got that number 30 where he's performing, but he ain't Shohei, because that's where it gets really tough on the voters. You're going to need another hitter in the National League on a winning team to put up stellar numbers to offset that scenario if we ever got that far. And that would be interesting.
And the sad part is I've heard, other talk shows and experts, etc. And for the most part, they say that he should just get the MVP and or the Cy Young for just showing up, because we've never seen anybody do this ever in the history of the game. And for him to perform at a high level, and they're not saying, look, he's got to hit, 280 and above with 40 plus homers. They're just saying he just needs to be good at both hitting and pitching because no one else can do it. And that I totally disagree with. The pitching has to be the best, but as much as, I like these other pitchers, I'd love to see Shohei turn in that kind of a season pitching, but a poor season on his behalf at the plate, and see where it goes.
I like that storyline because we just love the chaos, the defense of some of these analysts that showing up is good. What is this, the 90s? You just have to show up and you get a pat on the back and a trophy. No, that's dumb. A couple other games from last night I got to get out here. Red Sox beat the Phillies 3-1, ending the home run streak of Kyle Schwarber at 5 games. Take a break, dude. They're playing again today. Jesus Luzardo is set to start the series finale, or is starting. I don't know if they're out there yet. Against Ronher Suarez, who of course played for the Phillies, and that's going on today. Later, it's going on later in 2 hours.
Yeah, as you said, Ron Hare Suarez has been out due to injury. So this will be his first start since May 3rd. He had a nice outing there. He only went 4 innings, though, due to that injury. The Red Sox, they got to win. They're riding one in a row. Let's see where they can go. The Phillies, Jesus Luzardo, he's a hit and miss kind of guy. This whole Phillies team this year, Luzardo has a ton of talent. He just doesn't seem to consistently put it together. But the thing that worries me there is not only that 5 home run streak that Schwarber's on, but Bryce Harper has heated up as well. And at that top of the lineup. So the Phillies are hitting the ball, much better than they were early on. It's a pick 'em game. It's just kind of like throw a dart, figure out which team you want to look for. I think Suarez has that bit of a revenge because everything I had heard, the Phillies didn't come close to offering him anything close to the amount of money he wanted. They just pretty much let him walk away. The Red Sox picked him up. So you have to believe there's a little bit of revenge and wanting to stick it to the Phillies with a good game tonight. I'm just hoping he's ready to throw because coming off an injury, you never want to see him rush himself back so that he can get this start because it is the Phillies.
Another game in a couple hours that'll start will be the wrap up to the series between that a lot of us were watching, the Braves and the Cubs, because two of the best teams, two of the best records, two of the highest performers. Mike Yastrzemski drove in the tie-breaking run with a pinch hit double in the 8th yesterday, finish off Chicago. And the Braves won 4-1. The Braves extended their best record to 30-13, 2 in a row over the Cubs, who actually arrived in Atlanta with the NL's second best mark. They now have a season high 4 in a row losses. Just what you said, Steve. These teams, they go on these streaks, and then they go the other way. The Mets, they lose, 12, 13 in a row, whatever it was, and then they stabilize. And they start winning, and they stabilize. The Cubs won 9, 8, 10, I don't know. Now they've lost 4 in a row. It is, in a couple hours, Sale against Brown.
Yeah, Ben Brown, he's going to make his second start. He went 4 innings in his last outing, did not give up a hit. But this is a tough spot. As you said, they've lost 4 in a row going at Atlanta. Chris Sale, who's their ace, is on the mound, and Sale has been outstanding so far this season. His whip is 0.88. He's 6-2. His ERA is 2.2. He is still one of the elite pitchers in the game. And watching that Braves game last night, this team is so good. And it just that lineup. I mean, this is one of those lineups that when they're on, I feel can make a run at the Dodgers. When you look at Drake Baldwin, what he's done, Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, Austin Riley hasn't done anything in a year and a half. If they ever get him healthy and playing the way he did when he was a couple of time all-star at third base, Michael Harris is having another outstanding. It is one of the few teams that can actually almost go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers and their offense. And their pitching, even with their pitchers hurt, are still right at the top for the best pitching staff in baseball.
Yeah, right now today, even with the Dodgers wobbling along, the Braves feel like the only team that could really give them a chance once we get there. You wonder, the Cubs, the Brewers, but it feels to me like the Dodgers are going to have to continue to significantly be average for the Dodgers for me to start opening my mind to those other teams until we're actually there and somebody does something. One other game from last night. Nick Kurtz extended his on-base streak to 36 straight games. Walk, hit by a batter, pitch, whatever. He had a grand slam. He thought he'd do it in style last night. JT Ginn pitched 6 innings of 1-run ball. He looked great. A's beat the Cardinals 6-2. Zach Geloff also hit a solo homer. We talked yesterday about Henry Bolte. Sorry, it's Bolte, not Bolt, Bolte. Found that out the hard way last night when he was introduced. He's the rookie they called up. He had 2 hits in his first major league debut. And they are finishing up today. It's on right now as Lopez is set to start for the A's, or is starting for the A's, against McGreevy in the series finale.
Yeah, I love it when you get a hot batter who comes up for the minor leagues. As you said, Bolte was on an unbelievable roll, as good of a stretch as you can have, and then goes out and goes 2 for 2 with a walk and an RBI. That just adds to it. JT Ginn, I can't say enough about him. I'm not saying he's a star pitcher. This guy wasn't even in the rotation at the beginning of the year, and he is showing that he is one of their better pitchers. In that rotation right now, he's throwing the ball great. Nick Kurtz, to me, is one of the biggest unsung heroes. I love this guy. And because he plays on the West Coast, I don't think he gets the media coverage that he really deserves. But they got their hands full. McGreevy going today for the Cardinals. This guy's pitched really well. He hasn't given up a run in his last 2 outings, although A's are already on the board, up 1-0 in the bottom of the second. But Michael McGreevy has been really good this year for the Cardinals, and the Cardinals surprise team, 14-8 on the road. Who would have seen that? You expect something like that at home. Like the Tigers are really good at home. They are 12-6, but they're 7-18 on the road. That's the big problem with the Tigers, in addition to everything else going on. But this Cardinals team, Alec Burleson, their number 3 hitter, he is out today. He's got a day of rest. So the A's, though, have their hands full. I'm not a big fan of Lopez. I don't think he's really very good. And that's where I think the A's need to, if they're going to make a serious playoff run, upgrade their starting staff.
A's are a game and a half in first place over the Rangers, 5-5 in their last 10. Cardinals, 5-5 in their last 10, just 2.5 back of the Cubs. As of this moment, they are in the bottom of the second. A's are up 1-0, as Steve mentioned. And the way they got to that 1-0 was your pal, Nick Kurtz, had a leadoff home run to start the game, and going after Jacob Lopez after 2 innings. He's got a no-hitter. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. His whip is 1.75. He's putting on 1 3/4 runners every single inning he goes out to the mound. You cannot expect a success when you're putting 2 runners on every inning.
That is the definition of playing with fire.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say.
Stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040. Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP. M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
You know those guys you see in a sports bar laughing and enjoying each other and just talking sports? That's this. Back to the Rob and Steve Show. Email them, ras@theradnetwork.com.
We gave you all the rumors on the NFL schedule, or they're not even rumors, they're leaks. That's what's going to happen so far. Whatever's left to be told about 4 hours and 20 minutes from right now. We talked about the NBA, whatever the hell that was, the Pistons were doing yesterday. The big rumor in the NBA, Giannis to the Warriors. It's nothing more than a rumor that the Warriors are working on such. Now, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, has confirmed what we talked about a few weeks ago. They have landed on a proposal to present the league's board of governors to revamp the draft lottery in an attempt to curb tanking. He said, quote, "We have a proposal to create essentially a system of flat odds so that you have no particular incentive to be bad. It's called the 3-2-1 system. It's very convoluted. Here's a simple way to look at it. It would give the 3 worst teams a lower percentage chance of winning the lottery than the teams picking from 4th to 10th. That's an effort to curb the need for clubs to be as bad as possible to increase their chances of landing a high pick. That's the simple version. And the idea is you don't want to be in the bottom 3. You want to be bottom 4 or 10, 4 to 10. You didn't seem thrilled with this idea, Steve, but isn't it better than nothing, or no? Would nothing be better?
I think it's all garbage, honestly. So if you and I have a couple of different ways to go with this. The teams that are tanking, to be a team tanking, you must be a better team than your record shows, and you are purposely losing games in order to achieve a result in the standings. So now all you're doing is saying, look, we're going to tank to end 4 through 10. To me, it makes tanking easier because we're good enough to win enough games to not be the worst teams. So our whole target range now is 4 to 10. And I take the Sacramento Kings. I don't think they were tanking. They were just a bad team. And yes, they won a couple of games at the end, but let's say they didn't win a couple of games at the end, and now they are one of the 3 worst teams in the league because they are one of the 3 worst teams in the league, and you're penalizing them. And the example I would get, and I've never really played golf for money. I've done a little bit of that. First on the green gets this, closest to the hole gets this, first in the cup gets this, and I forget what that even is called. But I have bowled a lot of pot games in my life. And I will tell you, from a person who does this, the guy who just barely finds a way to beat you time in and time out is hustling you. He is the guy tanking. Look, I got lucky. I finished with 6 in a row to beat you by 4. Oh, next time you'll beat me. The guys who would blow you out, I never had a problem with them because all I got to do is get hot and I can come back and most likely beat them. But the ones that just sit there and tease you, you never want to play those people for money because they are clearly better than you. They know it. You haven't figured it out. And they know just what they need to do. And to me, that's what they're encouraging from these teams. We're good enough. Maybe we're not quite good enough to make the playoffs, but we're good enough to not be one of the three worst teams. So now your tanking's just 4 through 10, which is awful.
By the way, after that stirring endorsement, league officials have told ESPN and others that their expectation is the proposal will be passed by the league this month. I guess we want some good news. It's only in place through 2029 because that's when the new CBA has to be in place, and they're going to try to address that with the players. Luke, okay, now when we were going through the Laker thing, we had this amazing March. Lakers are better than anything ever since sliced bread. They're going to win everything. No one else should even show up because they went 15-2. Luka scored 6 billion points, and then everybody starts getting hurt. And then it's like, okay, well, can the Lakers even beat the Rockets with only LeBron because Reeves is out as well? They did, and Reeves came back, and then you run into OKC. It's over. Now, what we were positing on the show exactly what we would get, and what for the most part we got. LeBron can do it, and Reeves will be back soon. And then Luka's second round. And this endless, here's what's going to happen. Sure enough, Austin Reeves comes back, a little rusty. Okay, he's better. And then it all, Luka. Could Luka be ready for game 3 against OKC? What's going on? But now, it's all over. We're done. It's no LeBron news today. Lakers are letting him take the time. LeBron doesn't know how he wants to finish. But we do have Laker news. Turns out that Luka's hamstring injury was much more severe than initially thought. Once he suffered the hamstring strain on April 2nd, fans were like, oh, Luka. The rest of the team, they kept fighting hard. Could they take care of the Rockets? They did. Well, Luka spoke to the media and said while all that was going on, when he was initially evaluated following the injury, he was told 8 weeks. When he went to Spain for treatment, the injury was found to be much more serious than initially thought. The good news, according to Luka, is that he has already begun eating healthily. He shouldn't be limited in his offseason preparation for next season. However, we know now that he was never coming back. He wasn't coming back. It was different.
And not even close to coming back. They go through they make every series go 7 games all the way through the finals, and he's still not, which is where, and I harp on this all the time, the integrity and how these leagues preach integrity and want to play the moral police to us fans and on and on and on. The league couldn't care less. They have no integrity at all. It's about money in their wallets. That's all it's ever been. And I get so tired of it. And I don't even know why they release it later on, because all it does is just infuriate me. Going, when you get these teams and I go to LeBron and whatever it was, NBA Finals, I want to say they got swept. They may have won 1 game. And you found out he broke his hand in game 1. But we didn't know that as bettors. We think, oh, look, they got a shot. But they never release that. When the Florida Panthers lost to the Vegas Knights in the Stanley Cup in 2023, they had 4 guys who shouldn't even have been on the ice. But they were, because it was the Stanley Cup Finals. We find out later, one guy's playing with a broken leg and on and on. And I'm so tired of the league's preaching integrity. And then time and time and time again, you find out they are flat out lying to you as they're preaching their integrity.
The argument always is against that is that, well, yeah, but what about the strategy? What about you don't want your opponent to know, hey, I'm not here to beat the public betting. I'm here to make them think Luka's coming back. That's always the argument against. I'm not saying it's right. That's what they preach.
Okay. Take the injury report away. Look, no injury report. Hide anything you want. Make the other team prepare for whoever they think. Let them put, spies in the stands for their practices to figure. Just take it away. I don't care. Take it away. I would rather them not have a daily injury report, which is as fake as Monopoly money, than what they currently do.
So I wonder in this particular case, is this just such an indication of how little the league does care? Because Luka's the one that let all this out. Luka spoke to the media himself and said all this stuff. Well, is the NBA going to investigate? Do they care? No, it's not even an NBA story. They don't. I think you've already summed it up. They don't care. They're thrilled. We were all talking about could Luka come back.
Yeah, because it added excitement versus, the Lakers really don't have a chance here. But then JG Redick wouldn't get the trophy for the greatest coaching job for a team that got swept in the playoffs in NBA history.
That was actually said. That's true. Yes. Speaking of the NBA playoffs, they are still going on. Lakers aren't involved. No games tonight. There's nothing going on tonight. You can watch the NFL schedule and just ad nauseum figure out what everybody's record is going to be. However, we're all waiting. Is it going to be Steve's Pistons or is it going to be the Cavs who play the Knicks? There is optimism in New York that forward OG Anunoby will return from his hamstring injury by the start of the Eastern Conference Finals. He exited Game 2 reaching for his right hamstring. He's been day-to-day ever since. Now, it feels to me, Steve, even with your precious Pistons, it feels like the Knicks are they're prone to win this thing anyways. Now, without Anunoby, it becomes interesting. With him, I feel like it's the Knicks. It just is, as much as I really don't want to see it that much. But with Anunoby, this would be huge. Without him, it could be something.
It could be. I think it's going to be a lot closer series if he's out for a significant amount of time. But I still go back to roll it in October. Everyone favorite to win the East was the Knicks. Number 2 to win the East was the Cavaliers. Even though I'm so disappointed with the Pistons, this is what we thought would be the Eastern Conference Finals. And then you roll into the Western Conference Finals. And I was with it. The Thunder playing the Spurs. So if you take away the regular season, which my wife says none of the games mean anything until the final 2 minutes, and the regular season doesn't mean anything because every team makes the playoffs, ultimately we are going to have, from the October thought, the best 2 teams in both conferences playing in their conference finals, which is great for basketball. But the Knicks are a better team. That's just the Pistons that are making the Cavs look good and consistent. And they haven't been consistent all season long.
Yeah, look, it's not because you're my pal. I would much rather see the Pistons play the Knicks because at least there's a fighting chance for a series.
They'll be fighting in that series.
Yes. And I was thinking about this last night. The 3 teams from the beginning from the West. There was 3.5 from the beginning. It was with you always OKC, San Antonio, and then Nuggets. But you would always throw in the T-Wolves. You'd always throw them in. Okay, well we're there. It's one of the 3, and I'm like, the Knicks can't beat any of them in 7 games. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can. Maybe I don't know. But it doesn't feel to me like we're headed towards a great finals matchup.
I would love to see the Knicks play the Timberwolves with that Karl Anthony Towns trade for Julius Randle. Which player is going to be more motivated to show up their other team? That would be a fun one to watch. And I think that would be the only one the Knicks would have a chance at winning.
Right. So that all starts this weekend. We're all waiting to see how everything plays out. Or Monday even. It could be early next week. As for the NHL, wow, it's a day that ends in Y. Another coach has been fired. This time, despite reaching the Stanley Cup final the past 2 seasons, but not this year, Edmonton Oilers have fired Chris Knobloch. Everyone says it's all about the Oilers' urgency to win while Connor McDavid's in his prime. And the word is that the Oilers are working on getting permission to interview Bruce Cassidy, who they need to get permission from the Vegas Golden Knights since Cassidy is still being paid after his late season firing.
I love Bruce Cassidy. I hope he becomes the coach for the Oilers. This is another reason I love the NHL. Chris Knobloch, back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. He signs a 3-year contract extension. Nope, you got knocked out in the first round. You're gone. We don't care. It is what have you done for me lately, league? I love that. Cassidy was a great coach with the Celtics. I mean, with the Bruins, they let him go. With the Vegas Golden Knights, they let him go. I don't know why Vegas would deny that, though, because they're on the hook for the salary. So allow him to sign with the Oilers. I believe it gets him out of paying the money. And Knobloch's 3-year extension hasn't even started yet. So they still have to pay him for the extension that they signed him to that isn't even in effect yet. You gotta love the NHL.
The expected result last night, although not the way I would have thought. Colorado wrapped it up. The Minnesota Wild, they were down 3-1 in the series. They built a three-goal first period lead, and I clicked over. I went, oh wow, look, Minnesota showed up, and then I left. And I came back. Oh great, got to stay up for this. The Avalanche scored 4 straight goals, including 2 in the final 4 minutes of regulation. Wilders done. Headline this morning: Wild feeling empty after series-ending collapse in Game 5. Yesterday, we talked about what the Wild can or can't do to get over this hump, and they have plenty of time to think about it now. No surprise here. It's just how it happened.
Yes, and this just backs up for me why the Avalanche are the best team I think we've had in the last several years in the NHL. Down 3-0. This game's over. Nobody expects them to come out back. Like you said, you turned off the TV. It's 3-1 at the end of the 2. I'm sitting there watching it going, come on, we got to get it to 3-2. We got to get it to 3-2. Sooner in the third period, the better off. But anyone who's watched the Avalanche all year, are you surprised they overcame a 3-0? No, not at all. This is just how good this team really is.
Unlike the NBA, the NHL is not clearing the slate for the NFL schedule release tonight. 2 games tonight. The Sabres are tied with Montreal. They're in Buffalo. The playoff games are on TNT. How's Buffalo? Okay, Buffalo's position. That was a big game. They got to win at home. They got to pull the Cavaliers in reverse here, Steve.
They do. They need to win this game. They got the Zamboni bounce that really helped them out to get to this spot. I think they saw how big a crowd can be in Montreal and how it can affect the games. And I know the fans in Buffalo, they're going to have that arena rocking tonight. Hopefully Buffalo comes out quick. They don't come out and allow the Canadians to go and score in the first 30 seconds or something like that to let the air out of that arena. It's pretty much a pick-em game. These two teams have been playing really evenly matched. I would tell you, if anything, I think Montreal has looked better than Buffalo in this series. But come on, Sabres, help me out.
That game's at 4 on TNT, and then at 6:30, also on TNT. The Vegas Golden Knights will be without Braden McNabb for his 1-game suspension, and the Vegas Golden Knights are at Anaheim with the Knights. They're up 3-2. They can just end this if they can.
Yeah, another pick'em game. The Knights, both teams' goaltenders have been outstanding. They're getting things done. The Knights had 1 game that they played a lot better than the Ducks. The Ducks had that game that they outplayed the Knights, but 2 evenly matched teams. Ducks are at home. I still think this series is going 7. It's been an outstanding series to this point. Even with the overtime winner in this last game, I mean, it just goes down to the end, it seems, in every game. Going to say it once more time. That's why I love the NHL playoffs. We don't have the blowouts. The games have been fantastic. If you have not enjoyed these NHL playoffs, then honestly, you really are not a big hockey fan.
I don't know how you're a sports fan. I really don't, because even if you don't love hockey, how you can't get like, oh my God, with these playoffs that are going on. So we got that tonight. Of course, we got the NFL schedule 4 hours from now. And it'll be interesting, as Steve said the other day, how does the NFL do it? Do they bore us to tears? Here is week 1. Do they do the big marquee announcements? Who knows? Either way, we'll talk about all of it tomorrow. See you then.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting, and Rob's